Yeah, that'd be sort of base. I think it does say in the Bible that we're not supposed to mark our skin like that, but I couldn't say that with like certainty. I don't know where that is. And I hate to quote the Bible without book chapter verse.
What do you think about the Bible and the flat
I remember
Earth?
that from somewhere too.
What do you think about the Bible
There's a bunch
and the flat
of
Earth? Drunken surfer.
Oh, sorry, Warhammer. What'd you say?
What do you think about the theory of the flat Earth and the Bible supporting the theory of flat Earth?
I don't know. I haven't read anywhere in the Bible myself where it supports the theory of the flat Earth. To be honest, when I read Genesis, I think it supports the theory of the Big Bang. To be honest, but I don't know where in the Bible would you point to prove the flat Earth to me.
I don't have the script. I don't have like the scripture quotations on hand at the moment. I'm still trying to get. I've just reset the password and I'm about to log into my account on chess.com.
Surfer, look, while Hammer gets that, look, I'll tell you something that I've heard. Okay, now you got to look at like Genesis. Okay, like God. What day did God create the sun? On like day 4, right?
Yeah, how I sort of interpret it, and I think in the very first Bible study I really broke that down because that's something I'm very interested in. I went to school for physics, right? So that is something I'm very interested in. The creation story versus the modern conception of the creation of the universe, and how I would break it down, I would say that in the first day, when it says that the earth was without form and void and darkness was upon the face of the deep, well, that describes the singularity at the start of the Big Bang, when the whole universe was comprised within one atom. Everything was without form and void, and darkness was upon it. And God moved upon it and said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And then all of a sudden, that describes once the singularity started to expand. Now, the
can I just say, bro, what if we see in the New Testament, right, that Jesus is the light of the world. So what if it's in reference to Christ,
Well, I think when it talks about Christ being the light, it's Christ is the light that when we look to Christ, it lights the path before our feet, and it shows us what is true. And I think that's what it's talking about when it says Christ is the light. But when God said, "Let there be light," I think that's talking about a different sort of light. And I think that's actually talking about creation, when the universe started expanding from the singularity.
Okay.
After that, in the second day, so if you look at the Big Bang Theory, for the first however many years, and the Big Bang Theory in modern science will say it was like 300 million years. Now, I believe the universe is actually like 6,000 years old. Like if you trace the lineages in the Bible, and like things like carbon dating and like chemical breakdown and stuff that they use to date the universe. The way I justify that, I say, why couldn't gravity accelerate its rate? It's very obvious to me that God could have accelerated the rate. So, I don't think it's unreasonable to say that the universe is 6,000 years old. Now, in the modern conception of the Big Bang, they say it was 300,000 years. Now, we know from reading the Bible it was like a day, the first day. But for the 300,000 years that it talks about the Big Bang Theory, everything was very uniform. And when the universe first started to expand from the singularity, it was all very uniform throughout the whole existent universe. And how scientists will say that like planetary bodies start from quantum fluctuations that miraculously appear. Well, to me, those quantum fluctuations are obviously the hand of God. And then the second day, and God said, let the firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament, and the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. And this is where God, he, like if you think of gravity and stuff, like things like gravity, mass all attracts itself towards the center. And like stars, the reason why there's so much pressure in the center of the star is because of the mass. There's so much gravity that it brings the protons close enough to each other that they start to fuse and create higher elements in the center of the star. But that wouldn't happen if everything was uniform, because everything would have equal forces on each other from all different directions. So what God did was he came in and caused those quantum fluctuations that scientists talk about, which is what caused planetary bodies to start to form. Because all of a sudden, when things no longer uniform, those gravitational forces took over, and planetary bodies started to form. Well, the Earth was created before the stars ignited, but I think that actually, like, all the stars and the sun were actually, came together, but it just took a bit of time before they ignited and gave off photons. And that's why discrepancy from, like, day 3 to 4.
Right. Well, and see, like, because when I read it, I think, okay, so we have the Earth, right? The Earth is there, and then if the sun or these bodies weren't created till, so much later. But I guess you kind of, you explained your point, just how you see it, then the gravity and all this stuff. But it's just like, to me, I read it, and I'm like, okay, so what was the Earth, revolving around for, if there was no sun yet, you know what I mean? It's very
really talking about the revolution, like the revolution of planetary bodies.
Well, right, yeah, true. But, just like looking at it, reading that, very simple, just kind of like, okay, if the Earth is here and the sun didn't come till later, then, like, are we revolving around the sun, like, or is the sun just going like on like a Minecraft thing, I don't know, bro.
I don't think God is like saying Minecraft.
Well, he knew about it, bro. He knew about it. He knew Minecraft would be made.
What I think that's about is because the mass of the sun is there before the huge emission, and the Earth is still revolving around it, because of gravity, centrifugal force would still be at play, and the Earth would still be revolving around the sun. It's just the sun hadn't ignited. Now, the only thing that's really hard to wrap your mind around is that it says the Earth brought forth grass on the third day before the sun was ignited. And you think, well, how could plants have started to grow before the sun ignited and the photons were getting off from that? But, I don't really know how to justify that, but...
Surfer, have you ever heard of, like, there's, like, natural, energy waves in the Earth, that, I guess they could grow things, but there's like natural energy sources in the Earth. Maybe that's it. I don't know. I forget what they're called.
You know what's sort of interesting? Because not just like black people are from Africa are very physically
black.
Like they're big. They're big, but not just black people, but like the plants and animals in certain areas of Africa are much bigger. Like they have much bigger fucking like insects and like fucking things in the wild. And actually, there was a fusion fission on I think the west coast of Africa, maybe the east coast. But for a long time, there was actually a natural fission reaction that was going on underground on one of the coasts of Africa. And that would have given off a lot of energy. Like our nuclear reactors use the fission reaction, right? And the fission reaction will give off like 1 kilogram of uranium, breaking down with fission, will give off the same amount of energy as burning 4,000 tons of coal. So, and that's because of the atomic forces, right? The nuclear forces. But because that was naturally happening on one of the coasts of Africa, I think that is what made the atmosphere more energetic and made plants and animals much bigger because there was much more energy in the atmosphere from that fission reaction. And that is an example of natural energy given off from Earth, right? But it's not comparable to the sun. Like the sun and stars give off the reaction that's happening in their core is nuclear fusion. Which nuclear fusion, like nuclear fission, gives off much more energy than burning anything like coal, but then combustion. But nuclear fusion actually gives off much more energy than fission does. And
Trevor, have you ever heard of sun eating, bro?
From the sun is much more powerful than the energy from a fission reaction.
That's what PPP needs to do, bro. He needs to sun eat. Have you ever heard of sun eating? I'm sure he would lose a lot of weight sun eating, bro.
I've never heard of it.
Okay, so bro, you know how the sun gives you vitamin what, D or C or something? I can't remember which one.
Vitamin D.
Okay, vitamin D. Okay, bro, like sun eating is like when you go outside and I've done it before. I don't do it anymore because it's kind of like hippy dippy dumb shit. But I used to do it years ago, and it kind of worked. But it's really kind of, I don't know. But like you know, if you go outside and you just sit in the sun, it'll like rejuvenate, you know, give you vitamin D and stuff. And like bro, like it can stop hunger pains. Like, you know, if you're fasting or something like that. Like, bro, like I'd be hungry or something, and I'd go outside and sit in the sun for like 5 to 10 minutes, and like my hunger would just be gone.
But the difference is, like, I'm not saying that the reason why PvP is fat is from genetics. Like, PvP is fat from eating. But genetically, like, I met PvP's, like, second or third cousin the other day. I helped her move into my apartment complex. And she
It's a her, bro?
Beauty. Like, if I didn't know better, I would have thought that she was actually Chantel, right? So I think genetically, like, PvP is predisposition to, like, being addicted to food. And because of the abundance of food in the society we live in, someone that has that predisposition to addiction to eating food will naturally eat much more food. And, like PvP, like me and you go, Snicklo. Like, I get to a point eating where I can't eat anymore. You know that phenomenon?
Yes.
PvP doesn't get that. He can keep eating. Like, forever. I've seen the guy seven family-sized bag of chips. We turned on a movie when I first met the guy. I remember watching a movie. His PvP would put on movies, right? And within like the hour and a half of the movie, like an hour and 40 minutes, the guy ate 7 family-sized bag of chips. And like was still hungry.
That's crazy, bro. Because like, you know, like if he just went out and sat in the sun and like curbed his, you know, like gluttony. You know, he needs to really curb that gluttony. You know, that's a deadly sin. You know, that's really a deadly sin. You know, this gluttonous. And bro, you know what really pissed me off? You know what pissed me off is that he said on that stupid stream that you pulled your dick out on the Bible stream, which is a lie. But what he's thinking is it was the stream that night after where you were drunk, you know? That's when you did it. But you didn't do it on the Bible stuff.
No, but do you know why he would say such a thing?
Well, yeah, just to be, fat cunts.
Well, it's because PvP doesn't actually watch the Bible streams, but PvP hangs out in Discord servers with like Brian Dunn, the King of Pole, and Perspicacity, and Trelane, who's also known as the Squire of Gothos. And whatever these people tell him, whatever these fucking Trinity Farms, Fox Dick Faggots tell him, he just takes it like it's gospel. So Brian Dunn, being the faggot shit disturber he is, has told, like he posted on Kiwi Farms, he has told PvP that I did that, and PvP hasn't watched the stream, but he's taken what Brian Dunn said at face value, and that's why he recited it, right?
Wake up.
Well, and hey,
You hit your head pretty hard. What's that? Anime? Chernobyl disaster? Cold War? We are literally assaulting Berlin. Come. Tonight we drink at the right
But his mistake there is taking what someone like Brian Dunn, the King of Pole, would say at face value, right? Like, you should never take what someone like Brian Dunn says at face value. That's sort of retarded.
Yeah, well, and bro, PPP says what he's never used Kiwi Farms. I don't know if he has. Maybe you could confirm. But he says I've never.
Hey, he never used Kiwi Farms.
He never had that. He said I've never had a Kiwi Farms account on that on that stream that he privated. I've never had a Kiwi Farms account. Honestly, I've never even logged into that shit in my life. I would never use it because I don't see any point to use forms in 2022.
No, don't make a Kiwi Farms account. You're giving Joshua Moon your fucking IP address and you make a Kiwi Farms
Exactly, bro. And I don't even know why people use that dumb shit. Like, bro, I use forums or image boards or whatever the fuck it's called, in high school, 20 years ago. That shit is gay, dude.
No, PvP certainly doesn't have a Kiwi Farms account. Neither PvP nor Godwinson have a Kiwi Farms account, but they both browse it every day. PvP browses Kiwi Farms autistically, but he doesn't have an account. He doesn't post, he just browses it. And he takes what he reads on there at face value.
Whenever that crazy Fed, that Fed in where was he at? New Zealand. You remember that guy? And then they were in the news because they hosted that video.
Yeah, no. Kiwi Farms is where I downloaded that video. I have a copy of that video.
Okay, well, yeah, that's one of the main reasons. I would never use it.
I have an account.
For me, I have an exception. Red X and the federal agencies that I work for, they gave me an exception, so I'm allowed to have it.
Well, there you go, bro. I'm not affiliated with the Red X. I don't know. I really wish we could find out who the Red X is, but I think the Red X might be PPP. I don't know. Or it could be the Dymo.
Maybe.
Or it could be. You know who we don't see a lot? Rudy. You don't see Rudy a lot, honestly.
Yeah, where is Rudy Coleman, dude? Rudy is the worst of the bunch.
Well, Rudy is the kingpin of the whole operation.
That's what he would like to be. That's what he likes to think. Dude, Rudy contributes nothing.
Are y'all playing chess yet, or what are y'all doing?
I had to wait 10 minutes.
Yeah,
I had too many failed login attempts, so I had to wait 10 minutes. But I disagree with Surfer.
Take your time. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, I just wanted to say that I totally disagree with Surfer saying that the Big Bang happened on the first day of creation, because it says clearly that God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And very clearly, he's talking about Jesus Christ, the Messiah. He's talking about Jesus Christ, who was there from the beginning. Jesus said himself that before Abraham, I was. Or before Abraham was, I am. And many of the Pharisees...
Christ was there from the start. But
exactly.
When it says in the first day that God said, "Let there be light," and there was light, it's very specifically talking about when the singularity began to expand. and shot
No,
off
there was no-
in very high energy and all
No, the
directions.
singularity is Satanism, bro. When I talk about the singularity of artificial intelligence, I'm talking about people like Elon Musk and his Neuralink, and like virtual reality, you know, mobile VR and stuff.
Yeah.
The singularity is Satan, dude. God, and
No,
the forces
you're right,
of nature
Warhammer, but
are
we're
anti-singularity.
using singularity in two very different ways there, right? Like when I'm saying singularity, I'm saying all of the universe existed in like one infinitesimally small point, and then it began to expand. The singularity you're talking about with like the AI and second, that's something very different. And maybe I should use a different word than singularity, but we're using singularity in two different ways. And you are right. The singularity you're talking about is satanic.
But yeah. But what about the waters on the face of the deep and the waters that are in the sky? What is it called? The firmament. Like the Bible clearly defines that there are different layers of watery firmaments around the earth and around up in the heavens. You know.
What you gotta understand is, like water itself is hydrogen and oxygen, right? And at the start of the universe, it was all comprised of hydrogen, right? So the
universe did not begin with hydrogen and helium.
At the beginning of the universe.
No, there's no way the universe could have began with only hydrogen and helium, or just a bunch of gaseous gas like made of matter and antimatter. God made all that stuff, you know, including the entire universe. You know, whether the
100%.
Whether the Earth is round or flat.
To be very orderly, and God created the hydrogen. God created the waters.
Exactly,
right? I'm not
bro.
saying that like the waters.
That's why the universe cannot be expanded.
That was something separate from God. God created that.
No, it can't be separate from God if God created it. And also, you're not supposed to worship images.
Exactly.
You're not supposed to worship nothing that is made from God. You cannot worship anything that is separate from God in the Bible. It says that thou shalt not worship any graven images that are made after the likeness of a deity. And very clearly, you're not supposed to worship anything that is within creation. God is above time and space. God naturally is above the dome, the natural glass dome, wherever that could be. You know, whether the Earth is flat around, whether the Earth is flat around,
it would be very silly of us to worship the hydrogen as the creator.
Yeah, that's the point. But whether the Earth is flat or round, there is obviously a watery firmament over the Earth. Like, the Earth has to be at least geometric, dude. Heliocentrism is a lie. It's anti-Christian. Like, heliocentrism is how, like, the theory of evolution and, like, how the theory of humans evolving from apes, that all comes from heliocentrism, because it talks about like how the Earth was formed from stardust, like how the first life forms or organisms were made out of single eukaryote or like fungi or cells and stuff. You know, the foam in the waters of the early Earth. That contradicts everything that's said in the book of Genesis.
Yeah, no, I think you're right that we obviously didn't evolve from lower organisms. I do ascribe to adaptation. I think the theory of evolution is right in the sense that we do adapt to the environment and we have genetic changes. But I think that God did create the plant life, and the animal life, and human life separately. And we probably have adapted over the last 6,000 years, just like plants and animals have also adapted, and we still see them adapt to this day. But I think you're correct that we didn't actually evolve from the eukaryotes or whatever the case is. God very clearly made human life as something separate.
Yeah. Well, God also gave man clear dominion over the earth. It was the dominion over the earth was taken away from Adam and was given to Noah after the flood, to Noah and his sons. Or God restored the dominion of the earth, or dominion over the earth, with Noah, with the patriarch Noah. But I don't think that man, even when man fell in the Garden of Eden, man still had dominion over the earth. God even gave man the ability to name all the living things that walk and creep over the face of the earth, or in the deep, or in the air, the skies of the air.
Well, hey, and you know what I think is really interesting is that if you look in Genesis, it'll say God created all these things kind after kind. And if you still look in science today, like, we still classify things by scientific genus, family, and kinds. And, like, that's just the breakdown of, like, the kingdom or whatever, that species. But, like, we still use kinds today. It's like kinds, familia, and genus, I think, is, like, the Latin for it. Okay. So, like, there's science in the Bible, like, right in Genesis. Like, when it says, in the beginning, there's time, God created the heavens, you could say space, or the ether, and then and the earth, so that's matter. So there's time, space, and matter, like, in the first chapter of Genesis,
I kind of agree with Southern Israelite. Empty space does not exist. There really is no such thing as outer space, how we know it as such. There's a bunch of ether and, like, firmament, different layers of a firmament, and, like, some kind of ether up there. Have you heard of, like, rumors and stories of,
well,
like...
I know, Warhammer. I would say that the waters are divided from the waters with empty space.
Have you heard of, like, these theories about NASA shooting rockets up into the sky, and they hit, like, the dome, they hit, like, this watery dome at the edge, and they blow up because they can't go above the dome? I think the Earth is round. I think the Earth is round, but I think that if you go a certain ways out away from the Earth, you hit the dome. You can't go past the dome that's around the geocentric modeled Earth.
Well, here's what I want to know your take on, Warhammer. So it says in, I think, Genesis 4, with the line of Cain. So at the end of the line of Cain, it says, Lamech took upon him 2 wives. The name of one was Ada, and the name of the other Zillah. And Ada bare Jabal. He was the father of such as dwell in tents, and of such as have cattle. And his brother's name was Jubal. He was the father of all such as handle the harp and the organ. And Zillah also bare Tubal-Cain, an instructor of every artificer in brass and iron. And the sister of Tubal-Cain was Naamah. So at the end of the line of Cain, they invented all of these sciences. Now, I don't know if you're aware, but the Freemasons actually think that they're descended from the line of Cain. They think that Tubal-Cain tunneled into the mountains and survived the flood, which we know to not be true because it says very clearly that everyone died but Noah and his family. So obviously Tubal-Cain didn't survive. But they'll also say that Tubal-Cain inscribed all of this knowledge that Cain's line found on 2 pillars, and one sank to the bottom of the water in the flood, and the other one floated to the top. And that's where they gained this knowledge. What's your take on that, Warhammer?
I thought that Tubal-Cain was allegedly the guy that was supposed to build Solomon's temple. How could he have survived the flood and lived long enough to be able to build the Temple of Solomon, or the first temple? Because that's thousands of years apart.
Hiram Abiff is who they say that they descended from, that was one of the masons that built the temple. But Tubal Cain was the like invented the sciences of like metallurgy at the end of Cain's line.
Hey, Surfer, did Tubal Cain, I could be wrong, dude, was he the one that's, it says he founded or did Cain start like the city of
No, and all it says about Tubal Cain is that he invented metallurgy before the flood.
There's a really interesting apocryphal book, bro. I don't know, it's called the Book of Jasher, or it's called the Book of Giants. And I would, like, I don't really read a whole lot of apocryphal or, like, take it, like, as gospel, because some of it's real questionable, you don't know who wrote it. But there's a book called the Book of Jasher, and it goes into, like deeper, like, storytelling of, like, Abraham and, like, because, like, they lived for a longer time then, because, like, they were closer to, like, at, the Adamic period, like, the Adamic people, like, because Adam lived to be, what, like, 900, and then now we only live to be, like, what, like, 60 at the most, but, over time, back then they lived longer, and there's, like, stories of, like, Abraham going to meet Noah, and stuff like this, and it talks about the building of the Tower of Babel, and, like, they would get, they had so many people would just, like, it would fall off of the tower and die, and, like, but they had so many people that, they didn't even care. It was just, like, it's crazy, and there's stories about, like, who killed Cain, and it was, like Lamech or something, like, do you remember Lamech? And, like, he's blind or some shit, and, like, he thinks Cain is, like, a bear or something, because he's a real hairy guy, he says he's real hairy, and, he thinks he's a bear and, like, kills Cain, and then he's cursed, like, 7 times, whatever it said, whoever kills Cain will be cursed 7 times worse than him, and, Lamech, because he's blind, he thinks that Cain's a bear, and he cuts his head off or something, and he's cursed. But that's all in the Book of Jasher, and I mean that's something you would just have to, if that's something you want to read, because I mean it could just be just bullshit, just bullshit.
Okay, yeah, it could be. We got this game going, so I gotta focus.
All right. Well, hey, I would get off because I actually got to charge my phone. I'll be in chat though.
Yeah, geez.
It was good talking to you.
Later. Good talking to you guys. Oh, yeah, for sure, guys. Forge game!
Forge game! Awesome! See you later, Ghost Nick. All right.